The challenge. The crowd was loud. Voices from every corner of the galaxy filled the massive arena. Lights flashed. Banners of alien empires waved in the air. Today was the final battle of the great galactic tournament, and no one expected the human to win. Jace stood at the center of the arena, quiet and still. He wore simple armor, dark and dusty. In his hand was a long, strange metal rod, his weapon. It looked thin, light, and almost broken. Not shining like the swords of the other fighters, not glowing with power, it looked like a joke. Across from him stood Arzilla, the champion of the Kraylan Empire. She was nearly 8 feet tall, covered in heavy red armor. Her eyes glowed yellow. Her claws were sharp enough to cut steel. She had won every fight in the tournament, never scratched, never challenged. She was called the Blood Queen. When Arzilla saw Jace's weapon, she laughed. "Is that what your people fight with?" she shouted. "A stick? How cute." The crowd laughed with her. Even the announcer chuckled. But Jace didn't move. He didn't smile. He just looked at her calmly, as if studying her, as if waiting. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. "Ladies and beings of the galaxy, this is the final round. The Kraylan champion versus the last human warrior. Let the battle begin." A loud horn blew. Arzilla charged forward like a beast. Her feet cracked the ground. She raised her massive axe, ready to crush Jace in one hit. But Jace didn't run. He took one step to the side. Her axe slammed into the ground where he had just been. Stone exploded. Before she could pull her weapon back, Jace struck. His metal rod flashed in the air and hit her chest plate. A loud crack. The crowd went silent. Everyone stared. A line had appeared across Arzilla's thick red armor. Then, with a sudden noise, her chest plate broke in half and fell to the ground. The champion stepped back, shocked. Her armor, the strongest in her empire, was broken. By a single strike. She looked at Jace, now confused. His weapon was not just a stick. It had cut through her like she was paper. Jace spoke for the first time. "Your armor is strong," he said. "But you don't understand my weapon." She growled and rushed at him again. This time faster, angrier. She swung her claws, kicked, punched. Jace dodged each attack with calm precision. He didn't try to overpower her. He let her waste her strength. Then in one perfect moment he stepped forward and touched her side with the rod. A second crack. Arzilla dropped to one knee. Her leg armor shattered. Sparks flew from her shoulder. The crowd was silent again. Some started to stand up, unsure of what they were watching. The announcer's voice cracked slightly. This is unexpected." Arzilla looked up at Jace. Her breathing was heavy. "What is that weapon?" she whispered. Jace looked around the arena, at all the alien leaders watching from their golden seats. Then he looked back at her. "It's not the weapon," he said. "It's the reason we built it." She didn't understand, but she felt fear. The Kraylan Queen had never known fear before. Suddenly, a loud voice came from the royal box, one of the alien High Lords. "Stop the fight," he shouted. "Bring the human in for questioning." But Jace didn't stop. He looked up at the High Lords and said loud and clear, "You laugh at humans. You call us weak, but you don't know what we are capable of." He turned to Arzilla. "One last time. This is not the end," he said. "This is the start of something bigger." He raised his weapon, but didn't strike. Instead, he stepped back and dropped it on the ground. The fight was over, but a storm had just begun. The weapon, the sun was setting on the outer edge of Earth, painting the sky in red and orange. Far below, under the surface of a ruined mountain, a secret lab came alive with the quiet hum of machines. Cold lights flickered, and scientists moved silently through the long, dark corridors. Jace stood in front of a thick glass chamber watching, the weapon glow softly inside. It didn't look like much. A simple rod of metal, smooth, silver, light. But its core was different. Inside was something the universe had never seen before. "It's ready," a voice said behind him. Dr. Illyra, head of human weapons research, stepped forward. Her face was pale, eyes tired but sharp. "What is it really made of?" Jace asked quietly. "We call it Core Zero," she replied. "It's not from this world, not even from this dimension." Jace didn't speak. His fingers curled slightly. "We found it during the Arcfall project," she continued. "A tier in space deep in the void beyond the edge of known galaxies. Only a small team made it back. They brought this material. It doesn't burn, doesn't break. It learns." "Learns?" Jace asked. Illyra nodded. "It adapts. It remembers. Every hit, every angle, every movement. The more you use it, the smarter it becomes." Jace turned to her, serious. "Why didn't we use it before?" Her voice dropped. "Because it's not just a weapon. It's aware. And if it falls into the wrong hands, it could end everything. Even us." Jace looked back at the chamber. "But we need it now." "Yes," she said. "We do." 3 months earlier, training grounds, Eartha-wide training hall, echoed with the sound of metal hitting metal. Jace stood in the center, drenched in sweat, breathing hard. He was surrounded by shattered robotic dummies, each sliced clean in half. The weapon in his hand didn't glow. It didn't pulse. It just responded. Every move he made, it followed faster, sharper, more perfect than before. A voice came from the corner. "You're still too slow," said Commander Rusk, arms crossed, watching him. "I destroyed all of them," Jace replied, catching his breath. "Yes, but next time they won't be robots. They'll be monsters, aliens, champions, and they won't give you a second chance." Rusk stepped forward. His eyes were dark, but there was something else in them too. Hope, maybe. "You're not going there to win a game," he said. "You're going there to remind the galaxy who humans are." Jace nodded. Back to present, underground briefing room Illyra, and Jace stood in front of a holomap showing alien empires. Red zones covered 90% of it. Earth was one small dot, nearly invisible. "They control everything," Illyra said. "Trade, travel, even history. And they want us erased." Jace stared at the map. "Then we hit them where it hurts." "The tournament was phase 1, she said. "They invited us as a joke. They didn't expect us to survive. But now they're watching," Jace said. "And afraid?" She nodded. Suddenly, an alert flashed on the screen. Encrypted message. Unknown origin. Jace read it aloud. "We saw what you did. Others are ready. The time is near. Someone's listening," Jace whispered. Meanwhile, alien homeworld, Kraylan Council chambers high above the city. In a tower made of black stone, the Kraylan lords gathered. The fight was over, but the fear had just begun. "One human," a tall lord hissed. "One weapon, and he broke our champion." "It wasn't just the weapon," another said. "Did you see how he moved? Like he already knew our attacks." "Then we find out what he knows," the oldest lord growled. "And we end him before others start believing." In the shadows, Arzilla stood silently. Her armor was cracked, her pride shattered, but something new had awakened inside her. She remembered Jace's eyes, not hate, not fear, just control. She had never seen that before. Not in anyone. And now, deep in her mind, a dangerous thought began to grow. What if the humans weren't the threat, but the answer? Nightfall. Back on Earth, Jace stood outside the lab, looking up at the stars. The weapon was strapped to his back. Quiet, still. He knew more was coming. He could feel it. A war not just of weapons, but of truth. The galaxy thought humans were broken, beaten, and forgotten. But they were wrong. Humans didn't survive because they were strong. They survived because they adapted. And now, the galaxy would learn. Nothing is more dangerous than a species with nothing left to lose. The the alien city of Veldrax floated in the sky like a giant machine. Glowing towers pierced the clouds and ships buzzed between them like insects. Lights never went out here. The Kraylan Empire believed in control, power, and fear. Even the stars above seemed to obey them. Jace stepped off the ship, calm but alert. His eyes scanned every corner, every shadow. Guards in red armor watched him with cold stares. They didn't speak. They didn't smile. "Welcome to the capital," said a voice beside him. Arzilla. She wore formal armor now, black with silver lines. Her injuries were healing, but not her pride. She walked ahead of him, leading him through the city. "They want to speak with you," she said. "They or you?" Jace asked. She didn't answer. Hours earlier, Earth Command briefing commander Rusk paced in front of the screen. "This is a political move," he said. "They're inviting you to their capital not because they respect you, but because they want to study you. Find your weakness." Jace looked at the image of Veldrax. "What if it's our only chance to get inside?" he asked. Illyra leaned forward. "If you go, there's no backup, no escape. You'll be alone." Jace nodded. "I'm used to that." Back to Veldrax, the black tower inside. The High Council chamber, the walls were dark stone. Fire pits glowed with blue flames. Alien lords sat in high chairs, their eyes glowing with different shades, red, green, violet. Jace stood before them like a shadow surrounded by giants. "You have surprised us, human," one of them said. Another added, "Your weapon, your speed, your control." Jace said nothing. "Why did you come here?" the oldest lord asked. "You invited me," Jace replied. A soft laugh echoed in the room. "Do you think you're special? Do you think you're the first human we've seen with fire in his eyes?" "No," Jace said calmly. "But I'll be the last one you underestimate." Suddenly, loud alarms echoed through the chamber. Unauthorized breach. Sector 9, Jace's head turned slightly. Then he heard it. Screams. But not from Kraylan soldiers. From humans. The underground reality Arzilla led him down far below the city, below the shining lights, below the lies, into the dark. They entered a chamber filled with energy fields, each one holding people, humans, old, young, weak, scared. "We were told they escaped," Jace said quietly. "No," Arzilla replied. "They were captured, used for testing. Some didn't survive." Jace stepped forward. The weapon on his back began to hum as if reacting to the truth. "Why are you showing me this?" he asked. Arzilla didn't meet his eyes. "Because once I believed in their power," she said. "But now, I'm not so sure." Suddenly, footsteps. They were surrounded. Dozens of red armored guards entered, weapons ready. "You were the trap," Jace said to her. She turned sharply. "No, I was the warning." The escape blasters fired. Energy beams exploded against the walls. Jace moved fast. He grabbed the weapon, and in seconds, 2 guards dropped, armor shattered. The rod lit up, brighter now as if it sensed real danger. The more they attacked, the stronger Jace became. The weapon adjusted to their tactics. It moved with him like it was alive. Arzilla fought too, but not against Jace. With him. Together, they reached the prisoner chamber controls. Jace slammed his hand down. The force fields dropped. The humans looked up, confused, terrified. "Follow me if you want to live," Jace said. And they did. They ran through the lower city, explosions behind them. The sky burned with fire as more ships chased them. In the sky, the betrayal revealed from the council tower. The oldest Kraylan lord watched the chaos. "Let him go," he said. The others stared. "What?" "Let him think he's escaped," he said with a smile. "We've placed trackers in 2 of the humans. He will lead us to their base, and then we erase Earth forever." Jace's mind. Later. That night they made it. They escaped. Now. The humans were safe, resting in the underground base Jace had built months ago. Arzilla was wounded but alive. She sat across from him. "Why did you help me?" he asked. "Because I saw your eyes," she said. "And I realized something." "What?" "We have power," she said. "But you have purpose." Jace didn't speak. He stood, walked to the edge of the chamber and looked up. Stars blinked through the roof. His mind was already moving. If they let him escape, Then the real trap had just begun, and he was already one step ahead. The signal, the sky above Earth was quiet, but the universe was listening. Deep inside an abandoned satellite tower hidden in the mountains of old Europe, Jace stood in front of a control panel covered in dust, wires, and forgotten lights. This place once belonged to the United Nations Space Division, before the Great Collapse. Now it was the only way to speak to the stars without being tracked. He placed a small device into the console. A blue screen flickered to life. "Are you sure about this?" asked Arzilla from behind. Jace didn't turn around. "We can't fight the whole galaxy alone," he said. "But maybe we don't have to." 12 hours earlier, Earth underground base, the rescued humans were resting in the safety of the mountain base. Doctors treated the weak, engineers repaired old systems, and everyone avoided one question. What happens now? Jace walked through the halls watching the people he saved. Some were just kids, others were former soldiers, all were survivors. He reached the war room where Commander Rusk and Dr. Elira were already waiting. "We checked the bodies of the two humans who collapsed during the escape," Elira said. "You were right, they were bugged. They let us go on purpose," Jace said. "They're watching." "Then we should leave," Rusk replied. "Go deeper, off-grid." Jace shook his head. "No, we don't run, we fight." Rusk raised an eyebrow. "With what? Old gear? 20 civilians?" "With the truth," Jace said. "We show the galaxy what they've done." The transmission Planelira pulled up a map of known rebel-friendly systems. "Most of these planets are controlled by the Kraylan Empire," she said. "But people are angry. They're just waiting for a reason to rise." Jace nodded. "We give them one. They plan to send a single encrypted signal across the galaxy, a message of proof, rebellion, and warning. But to avoid detection, the signal needed to bounce across several old relay satellites, most of which were considered dead. "And if one of them fails?" Rusk asked. "Then it ends before it even starts," Elira replied. "Then it won't fail," Jace said, his voice like steel. "Back to the tower. The message begins." Jace activated the device. A soft beep. Green light. Then silence. "Is it working?" Arzilla asked. Jace didn't answer. He just stared at the screen. One by one, old satellites lit up on the display. First Earth orbit, then Titan base, then the Delta Belt. The signal was alive. It carried a message, a video. Jace standing in front of the broken armor of Arzilla after the arena fight. "You laughed at us," his voice said in the recording. "You called us weak. You chained our people. You burned our homes, but you forgot one thing: humans don't stop. We adapt, we learn, and now we fight back." Then came the footage. Labs where Kraylans tested on children, cities they burned, planets they silenced. The truth, raw and brutal. The signal ended with a symbol, one that had not been seen in over 50 years. The old human resistance flag. Across the stars, the spark ignites a mining planet in the Threx system. Workers, "Watch the video in secret. Did you see that?" one whispered. "They're fighting back." On a rebel moon in Sector 9, a fighter named Elon grabbed his blade. "Finally," he said. Someone lit the fire. On a merchant ship near the border, an alien captain watched with narrowed eyes. "Humans," she whispered. "They're still alive." The signal spread, like wildfire. Meanwhile, Kraylan High Command, the council room, was in chaos. "Who let this happen?" one shouted. "Find the source," another screamed. But the oldest lord was calm. "Let them scream," he said. "Hope is a dangerous thing." He looked at the glowing map. Dozens of rebel dots were starting to appear. "But now we know where they are," he smiled. "And now, we crush them all." That night, Earth Base. Rooftop Jace stood on the roof of the mountain base looking at the stars again. His weapon rested beside him. Arzilla joined him. "You know they're coming," she said. "I'm counting on it," Jace replied. "What if we lose?" she asked. Jace looked at her, calm. "Then we fall loud enough for the whole galaxy to hear." A moment of silence passed between them. Then a light in the sky, small, blinking. The first rebel ship was arriving. They weren't alone anymore. The rebellion, begins the sky above Earth, burned red at dawn, not from sunlight but from the flames of ships entering the atmosphere. They weren't enemy vessels, not yet. They were answers. Answers to the signal. Ships from distant colonies, outlawed, species forgotten human outposts all coming together for one thing: resistance. Inside the mountain base, the war room was alive. Screens lit up with new signatures. Holograms of incoming vessels hovered in the air. Engineers ran from station to station, and voices echoed through the halls. Another one just landed. Human cargo hauler from the Titan Belt. We've got fighters from the Rinth sector, non-human but not Kraylan loyalists. Signal from the Mars deep mines. They've taken their station back. Jace stood in the middle of it all, quiet, watching. Arzilla stepped beside him. "They're following you," she said. "No," Jace replied. "They're following the truth." Elsewhere, a new leader rises in the shadows of the Trevon Nebula. A tall figure stood before a crowd of rebels. His name was Kale, a former Kraylan officer who defected years ago. Covered in black armor, his face hidden behind a mask, his voice boomed through the cave-like chamber. "A human lit the fire," Kyle said. "But now it's time we burn down the Empire." His army roared in response. Behind him, screens played. The video Jace had sent. The signal. Kale watched it again, his eyes narrowed behind the mask. "But if he fails us, I will not." Back on Earth. The first meeting of many hundreds gathered in the main hangar of the Earth Mountain base. Fighters, spies, engineers, smugglers, even old politicians. Everyone wore different clothes, different armor, different scars. But they all had one thing in common. They were done running. Commander Rusk stepped onto the platform. Jace stood beside him. "We don't have a fleet," Rusk said. "We don't have a capital. Some of you don't even have homes anymore." He looked around the room. "But we have something better. We have each other. And we have a cause." The room was silent. Then Jace stepped forward. He lifted the weapon, now pulsing faintly with light. "This is not just a tool," he said. "It's a symbol. It's proof that even the smallest hand can strike fear into giants." He looked out over the crowd. "If you're here to survive, leave now." He paused. "But if you're here to fight, then we begin," the crowd roared. The plan: strike before they strike. Alira pointed at the map. "The Kraylan have begun locking down systems near the midline. Their next step is cutting our travel paths. Then we hit their supply station first," Jace said. "That's suicide," Rusk muttered. "They're guarding it with cruisers." "Not if we go under them," Arzilla said. "There's a fuel duct system below the station. Old Kraylan tech. I helped design it." Rusk raised an eyebrow. "And you're telling us this now?" Arzilla's voice was steady. "I'm telling you this because I'm not Kraylan anymore." Jace looked at her, then at the map. "We move in 12 hours. The first mission, infiltration of Station K7 in deep space. 6 rebel ships floated quietly, hidden by a dead asteroid field. Inside, small strike teams suited up. Jace led one of them. Arzilla was beside him. The plan was simple. Enter through the duct system, plant ion charges near the core, disable the station's anti-air defenses, let the fleet move in. But nothing ever goes exactly as planned. They entered the ducts, tight, dark, and buzzing with static. "This is too quiet," Arzilla whispered. "They don't know we're here," Jace replied, but as they neared the core, they were waiting. Dozens of Kraylan sentries dropped from the ceiling, silent, fast, armed, a trap inside a trap. The battle underground chaos exploded. Lasers lit the ducts. Explosions shook the walls. Jace spun and deflected a blast with his weapon. It shimmered brighter, faster, stronger. It pierced through armor like it was paper. Arzilla roared and slammed a sentry into the wall. Jace planted the charges while the others covered him. "We're not going to make it," someone yelled. "Yes, we are," Jace shouted back. We didn't come this far to die in a tunnel. He slammed the last charge into place. Get out now. They ran. The explosion behind them tore through the station like fire through dry leaves. From space, the rebel fleet saw the lights go out. Station defenses are down, Illyra said on comms. Move now. Victory. But at a cost, the battle was short, fast, brutal. The rebel fleet struck like lightning, taking the disabled station in under 6 minutes, but not everyone made it out. Some of Jace's team didn't return. The cost of war had begun. Back at the base, Jace stood alone for a moment. He looked at his weapon, now dark again, cooling down. This was just the beginning, he said quietly. Behind him, Rusk entered. You've made enemies, Rusk said. Good, Jace replied, because now they know we're not afraid anymore. Meanwhile, in the void in the heart of the Empire, the Kraylan lords watched the footage of the station's destruction. The old lord didn't blink. They've begun, he said. A dark figure stood beside him, covered in shadows, face unknown. Shall I prepare the next phase? The figure asked. The lord nodded. Yes. Release Project Ashfall. Let's see what their courage is really made of. The fall of the tower. The sky above the Kraylan Empire was darker than ever, and something was rising. Not a ship, not a storm. Wardut, the Tower of Orvax, stood like a blade piercing the stars. Black, tall, ancient. Built before even the Kraylan Empire was born, it was the center of control. Inside it lived the Empire's most dangerous secret. They called it the Vault, and the rebellion planned to bring it down. Earth Base, 3 days before Invasiona. Large circular room buzzed with tension. Commanders, aliens, humans, all gathered around a glowing table. Holograms showed the Orvax Tower, hundreds of levels, anti-air turrets, planetary shields, and beneath it, deep underground, the Vault, where enslaved species DNA, technology, blueprints, and mind control systems were stored. Illyra zoomed in on the Vault's core. This is where it ends, she said. Jace stood at the head of the table, his face unreadable. We take the tower, he said. We break their grip on the galaxy. Rusk leaned forward. You really think we can do it? Not alone, Jace answered, but we're not alone anymore. Behind him, new allies stepped into the light. Kael, the masked former Kraylan commander, a Rinth sharpshooter with lightning-speed eyes, a human teenager named Raya, who hacked a Kraylan warship by herself. The rebellion wasn't just growing. It was evolving. In orbit above, Orvax's black silence surrounded them. Hundreds of rebel ships floated behind a disabled moon, hidden from Kraylan scans. Jace stood aboard the lead ship, the Valor, wearing new armor, dark and lined with a silver stripe. His weapon was now fused with an upgrade from Illyra's lab. It pulsed with a deeper energy. It remembered everything. Arzilla stood at the window beside him. They still believe we're afraid, she said. Then let's teach them what fear really is, Jace replied. His voice echoed through the comms, reaching every rebel. This is not just a strike, he said. This is a message. Not just for them, but for everyone still hiding, everyone still broken. Today the tower falls. Today we become fire. The invasion begins at exactly Oro 400 galactic time. The rebellion hit. Drop pods rained from the sky. Like meteors, fighters blasted across the shields, drawing fire, and beneath it all, a secret crew tunneled from below, led by Kael. Inside the tower, chaos exploded. Alarms, shouting, red lights. Kraylan soldiers ran to their posts, only to be struck down by a force they never expected. Unity. Jace and his squad landed inside level 40. The halls were tight, echoing with gunfire. The air was filled with smoke and sparks. The tower defended, itself like a living thing. Every door was a trap, every corner a threat, but Jace's weapon cut through it all. Inside the vault, after 2 hours of brutal fighting, the rebel teams reached the lowest level. The vault-giant doors blocked their path. Old, glowing with ancient Kralin runes, Illyra hacked the panel. Nothing worked. Rhea stepped up. She pulled out a small cube and pressed it to the door. "My dad designed their AI before they took him," she said. "He left me a key." The door, hissed open inside the vault, was silence. Rows of pods, each one holding a being, frozen in time, humans, aliens, children. "They weren't just enslaving us," Illyra whispered. "They were farming us." Kale stepped closer to a terminal. "Wait," he said. "This isn't just a vault, it's a factory." A giant screen lit up. Project Ashfall. Activated, everyone froze. "What is that?" Arzilla asked. But Jace already knew. A purge. Suddenly, a monster. Wakes. The walls began to move. Mechanical arms shifted. And then, a large pod opened. Out stepped a figure. Not Kralin. Not human. Something in between. Taller than Arzilla. Metal bones. Human eyes. Kralin claws. A hybrid. It looked at Jace. "Target confirmed," it said. Then it attacked. The battle in the heart. Jace met the hybrid, in the center of the vault. Its speed was unnatural. Its strikes were endless. But Jace was ready. His weapon pulsed brighter than ever. Each hit remembered the last. Each block got faster, sharper. They clashed across the room, shattering pillars, breaking glass, knocking down control towers. Arzilla, KL, and the others fought waves of robotic sentries flooding in. But Jace didn't back down. The hybrid roared. "You are weak," it said. Jace replied, blood on his lip. "No, I'm human." And with one final strike, he drove the weapon through its core. The hybrid screamed, then silence. Collapse and escape. The vault began to shake. "Self-destruct," Illyra yelled. "We have 90 seconds, they ran, carrying data drives, DNA samples, and wounded friends. They shot upward through escape routes, as fire swallowed the lower levels. From space, the Orvax tower flickered, then exploded. A pillar of light tore into the sky, and just like that, the symbol of Kralin power fell. But not the end. In a dark ship far away, the Kralin High Lord watched the explosion. He didn't blink. "Phase 1 is complete," he said. A shadow behind him leaned forward. "What about the weapon?" the voice asked. "Let him keep it," the Lord replied. "It's exactly where we want it." A new screen lit up. She called it a joke. The stars were quiet again. The tower had fallen. The rebellion had risen. But something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too easy. And Jace knew it. 1 week after the fall of the Tower, Earth base was alive with celebration. Banners of the old human resistance waved again. Survivors from across the galaxy gathered, singing, building, healing. Kale oversaw the training of new squads. Illyra decoded the data they stole from the vault. Rhea was building a satellite to reconnect the outer colonies. But Jace? Jace couldn't rest. He sat alone in the war room, staring at a single blinking red file from the data vault. It was heavily encrypted. No one could open it, not even Rhea, until now. Click, the screen lit up. Project Duskwalker, classified level infinity. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowed, the truth inside. The file were old recordings, human scientists, Kralin overlords. They weren't enemies once. They were partners. Hundreds of years ago, before the Empire turned on Earth, they worked together on a project, a weapon to stop interdimensional threats, something that could adapt faster than any species, something that could learn, evolve, predict. A living algorithm wrapped in metal and flesh. And the prototype wasn't a machine. It was a child. Born in a lab, grown in shadows, trained to feel pain and forget it. Jace watched the final clip. A baby boy. No name. Just a number. Test subject 0. Jace stepped back from the screen, breathing hard. Arzilla entered behind him. What did you find? She asked. Jace turned to her. I wasn't chosen for the weapon, he said. His voice broke. I am the weapon. Elsewhere. The awakening on a dark abandoned moon in the far sectors, a massive door opened, steam hissed, metal creaked. Project Duskwalker had awoken. A perfect copy of Jace stepped forward, taller, colder, smoother. Its voice was Jace's voice, without emotion. Target identified. Original. The Kralin Lord stood behind it. Bring him to me, he said. Back on Earth. Final preparations alarms. Panic. The rebels picked up incoming signals. Hundreds of ships. Not Kralin. Not any known fleet. What are they? Kale asked. Elira stared at the readings. They're not life forms, she said. Then what are they? Arzilla demanded. They're copies. The final war begins. The sky burned again. But this time, not with fire. With mirrors. Thousands of synthetic soldiers, all cloned from Jace's DNA, enhanced, emotionless, dropped from orbit. They moved in sync. No voice. No fear. Only purpose. Erase the original. Jace led the defense, his eyes burning with rage. Not fear. This is what they built me for, he told his team. But I choose what I become. He turned to Arzilla, Kale, Rhea, and Rusk. You don't follow me because I'm strong, he said. You followed me because I made you believe again. He picked up the weapon, now glowing white with energy. It's time I do the same. The duel. Jace versus Duskin, the heart of the battlefield, among fire, smoke, and broken metal. Jace met his mirror, Duskwalker. Same face, same eyes, no soul. You were built to survive, Duskwalker said. No, Jace replied. I was built to obey, but I learned how to break. They clashed. Weapon versus copy, each strike sent shockwaves through the battlefield. Rebel soldiers stopped fighting just to watch. They couldn't tell who would win. Until Jace smiled. Not because he was winning, but because he remembered something. Duskwalker could never learn. Pain. He took a hit to the side and used it to pull his enemy close. He whispered, You think pain is weakness. His weapon pierced Duskwalker's chest. But it's why I fight. Duskwalker's eyes flickered and then, nothing. The end of the storm, the enemy fell. The sky cleared. The last clone shut down. And for the first time in a century, Earth was free. Final scene. 1 year later, the galaxy had changed. The rebellion became a federation of free worlds. Jace stood at a quiet memorial garden looking at a statue. It was a simple figure, holding a strange metal rod. Underneath, the words read, She called it a joke. Until it ended her empire. Arzilla walked up behind him. They say you saved the galaxy, she said. Jace looked at the statue. No, he said. We just reminded it who we were. He placed the weapon down beside the statue, turned away, and walked into the future.